So this week, Aquarius, from Lay Vampire, you pulled the monster within. Internal struggle, personal challenges, and wanting to improve. And then from Chakra Wisdom, you pulled a card that I have not seen ever pulled. Trickery. Now, we will get into the full aspect of this card, because for some of you, this could definitely be internal with the monster within, but then the other part too is the external factors you may be dealing with as well. Now, the monster within. The blessing here is talking about turning your own faults and flaws into your strengths. Working with this card. If you begin to practice discipline each day and create new ways of dealing with frustrations and difficulties, you will find your so-called negative traits can be reshaped, and who you are will be redefined. Changing yourself is a great purpose. Now, we're going to look at the full aspect of trickery, just so that everybody gets the full understanding of this card. I'm not saying by any means that Aquarius is trying to manipulate another person, but the suggestion is there with the card. But on the other hand, there could also be a situation where some of you may be feeling manipulated, and the internal struggle is not allowing that to happen to you anymore. Now, trickery, the card at a glance. Notice here that there may be manipulation because of fear of being rejected. There is no evil intent, only a deep desire to be loved. This card may also indicate that you should practice asking for your true heart's desire rather than fearing someone else's resentment. Now, the personal questions for this card. Am I afraid to tell the truth? How does that fear make me manipulate others? What do I really need to say? The key ideas are dance of scarcity, coveting possessions, vulnerable heart, self-honesty, accusing others, and hidden motives. So it goes both ways here. For some Aquarians, you need to be careful about falling into a pattern of wanting to manipulate others. But I think that for those of you who may have done that in the past, the monster within is saying that you're changing yourself from within first. But then again, the other part of it too is that for some of you, it could be a need to change yourself internally as far as allowing things like this to affect you. There could be manipulation externally, and it could be internally as well. All right, Aquarius, here we go. Here is the energy coming through, the Hierophant. Looking at this and what you're pulling with the oracle cards, I do think that some of you are getting a little bit of a better spiritual connection. The Hierophant is like orthodox traditions, right? Doing things in the traditional sense, but it's also spirituality brought down to earth in a way that we can understand. When you're looking at the Hierophant, being connected to the fives, it's all the shitty shit that happens to us. And we're like, what the hell? Wanting to understand. This is where the Hierophant comes in. And there's some spiritual understanding to the reason why we face the struggles that we do. For some of you, it can definitely be a mentor coming through that is helping you deal with maybe some spiritual issues. But there is a nice, like, fixed, grounded feeling with the Hierophant. This being your signifier, I really do think that this has to do with doing things in a set way that I think is maybe more comfortable for you than dealing with things that, you know, may not be as traditional. Now, you know, usually, like, if I were to see the moon or something else showing up with this, I would say, yeah, tradition be damned. You know, it's time to think outside the box here. But I don't think that this is the case, just with what I'm seeing here. The past, temperance. Whew, man, Aquarius. I do think that for a lot of you, the whole thing with trickery may be external. Because, you know, even if this is an internal issue, the monster within is saying that you're dealing with it now, right? But temperance is the past coming through, you know, that summarizes last week's reading beautifully, right? It's patience, moderation, it's balance. It's that balance between the way that you're thinking and the way that you're feeling. But there's also guidance there. And it's like doubled, right? Spiritual guidance. And in the present, shit. Wow, Aquarius, really? Man, You've got Sag, Cancer, and Taurus all sitting right here. The Chariot. There are internal things going on with you, but I really do think that you're getting things balanced out right now, big time. With Temperance being above the Chariot, absolutely. The Chariot is talking about getting control over the opposing forces. The way that you're thinking and the way that you're feeling. And Temperance, absolutely. This is victory. There is momentum forward here, but needing to have that internal control first. Man, wow, Aquarius. Future conditions, the Queen of Wands. Now, for some of you, if this is the energy surrounding you out of all the internal things that you're dealing with, this is fantastic, fantastic. For some of you, you could be dealing with a fire sign. The Queen of Wands and future conditions, when you're looking at it internally, there is enthusiasm and excitement, and there is an ability here to manage the things that are happening in your life. And for females, fantastic energy. But looking at it as a person, you know, this could be male or female. And for some of you, this may be you dealing with somebody who has a lot of passion, a lot of enthusiasm. But I get the feeling here that, you know, where you start to get some understanding and some control over the internal struggles that you're dealing with, I think the Queen of Wands is a beautiful energy to have surrounding you. And I like the way it feels, because to me, you know, this is a strong person who knows how to manage everything that is going on and has enthusiasm and has a fantastic attitude. Oh, your best path to follow. Now, when it comes to the lovers, yeah, for some of you, it definitely has to do with love in your life. You know, definitely could be marriage, right? The Justice of the Peace. But when I look at it as the best path to follow, I usually tell people when this shows up here that it's important to put love in your heart, to put love first in your life. When you're going through internal struggles and when you're going through external things like trickery, right? It's important for you to keep love in your heart. And it's important here too for you to have love for yourself as well. But, you know, again, for some of you, it may be a situation where there is a person involved. But your internal changes are happening first. That is happening first through the balance that you start to get with the internal things that are going on. And you start to get the balance with yourself spiritually, which I don't think you have any problem doing. I just think sometimes you hit hiccups in the road that may throw you off for a minute, but you guys bounce back like nothing. Your ability to think clearly through situations is what helps you out, where, like, you know, versus water signs will get too emotional about shit and dwell on stuff. You're logical about it and you're quick, right? You understand when things need to be changed internally. But I think that once you bounce back, there's going to be possibly a connection here, right? But it's important to keep love first. In your environment, the Seven of Pentacles. Yeah, you know, I mean, when you're looking, especially with the Hierophant being your signifier, when it comes to the things that you're working toward, there needs to be patience, but I don't think that this is a time to start changing things. The Seven of Pentacles is very much about reevaluating what you have. Am I seeing the results of the efforts that I have put through? Or do I need to change things? And I don't think that that's the case. I think the efforts that you're putting through here with the Seven is right where you need to be. And you're going to see the benefits through the efforts that you put through. It's just that there needs to be a little bit of patience, right? With Temperance and connecting it this way. It's like, be careful before you make any kind of rash decisions when it comes to what you're working on here. You know, if this is involved with work or money or whatever it is that you're looking at here, just be patient, because I don't think that you're seeing the full results yet. And I think that if you make a decision too quickly, you know, it kind of may go awry, right? It's not anything bad. I just think that you're looking at things right now and you may be changing things up a little bit too much, where, you know, you need to just kind of stick with what you know works, basically. Your hopes and your fears, the Ten of Pentacles. Yep. And it makes sense. Whatever it is that you're working toward here, you know, there is potential here for like Financial gain is going to be fantastic. Absolutely fantastic if you're working on something here. And I feel like with the 7, you know, when you're looking at 1 through 9, right, you're pretty close to the end here, but this may be something that you've been doing for quite a while. But I don't think now is the time to start changing things. I think the best thing to do is to stick with what works for you, because when you're looking at the 10 of Pentacles above that in the long term, it's going to pay off big time, right? The 10 of Pentacles too, you know, it could be about family situations, the home, things going on with the family, right? Needing to, like, you know, I don't think you should be changing the way that, you know, you act within relationships within the family either. I don't know why. I got this feeling of somebody going, you know, like maybe you're putting too much effort into family relationships that are otherwise just fine, you know. I don't know why I'm feeling like that. But I do think, you know, again, for some of you, it definitely could have to do with a relationship with somebody, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic, because what you have going on here is, you know, a lot of internal things that are changing, but it's also affecting the external as well, right? But again, with the Lovers, you know, for some of you, it could be a loving relationship that you have with a family member that may be helping you kind of manage what you're working toward. But overall, I do think, though, that now is not the time to start changing things. I think you need to have patience before you start, like, changing a bunch of things too quickly, right? And wait to kind of see the full results first. Because ultimately, you know, you're looking at the 10 of Pentacles, you're hoping for that, right? And there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to achieve that. And then the outcome, the 5 of Pentacles. Ooh, okay, Aquarius, I'm telling you. I think that you don't have any problem whatsoever managing what is going on as far as what you're working toward. You know, whether this has to do with your actual job or something that you're working toward that's bringing in some financial gain. But I do think that if you start changing things a little bit too much, you could see some financial strain. Looking at the 5 of Pentacles is saying that there may be some difficulties in finances in future conditions. Now, again, nothing's ever set in stone. But, you know, for me looking at this, I get this overwhelming feeling that you need to have a little bit of patience here before you start making any decisions to change anything. Especially if this is something that you've been doing for a while, you know? Now, I don't think that, you know, the Queen of Wands is a bad thing. Not with the Lovers next to her and then seeing the 10 of Pentacles. I do think that maybe, you know, this is either the energy that is surrounding you and being able to manage what you have and what you're doing, or this is somebody that is helping you, that may be helping to manage, you know, all the things that you're doing here that are creating financial stability for you, right? But I think you need to be careful about, you know, changing things up, you know. And then the Lovers too. You have to have love for what you're doing, right? Not just love for yourself, love for the people that are around you, having love in your heart, but you have to have love for the things that you're doing as well. But I don't really think that that's too much of an issue. I just think that it's important right now for you guys to, like, kind of ground yourself spiritually and internally, you know, and to make sure that you put love first here. But the 5 of Pentacles is the outcome, though. I mean, you know, even if you are facing some situation here where some of you are dealing with some financial strain, it's not anything that you're not going to be able to get yourself out of, not with the Queen of Wands. Now, on the other hand, for some of you, you may be dealing with situations where people are trying to push you out, right? Because there's that feeling with the 5 of Pentacles, too, of, like, rejection. But I think that it has to do with you dealing with some internal things and wanting to change the things that you've already been putting time and effort into. I don't think that you're seeing the full results yet. I think you just need to wait a minute before you, like, start changing anything. All right. We're going to take a look at the soul trees to see what other messages there are for you guys. I don't think that, you know, that 5 of Pentacles is a really bad thing. I don't see you having any, like, massive financial loss. It would have been different, and that 10 of Pentacles would have been somewhere else, but that's your hopes and your fears. And there's no reason why you can't attain that. Yeah. So, you know, when you're looking at truth, and you're looking at trickery, again, there's a need here for you not to be afraid to speak the truth when it comes to the way that you're thinking and feeling. Initiative when it comes to, the things that you're wanting to see here. When you look at the Seven of Pentacles too, there's that period of waiting to see the results, but if you're wanting to see the results that you're hoping for, you need to take initiative. But I don't think that that's too much of an issue. I think for some of you it may be, but the other thing too is, you got to have love for what you're doing. And I get this feeling that changing things too much may not be the best idea for this week until you get things a little bit calmer, especially with the Chariot being present conditions, Yeah, yep. Have patience. Love is patient and kind always. Yep. Like, I feel like I don't need to clarify that anymore. Overall, Aquarius, I just think that, whatever internal things that you're dealing with, I think that you're going to manage all that just fine. And you're able definitely to manage the things that you're working with right now and the things that you have been working toward for a while. Just be careful about changing things up. And love is going to be important. Love, right? And having patience. Having patience with the results that you're expecting to see. All right, Aquarius. So I really do think that with the Hierophant and seeing Temperance and then seeing the Chariot, I do think a lot of you right now need to ground yourselves and kind of calm down what is going on with you internally, because clearly here there may be some internal struggles that are happening. I don't think it's going to be much of an issue for you, but then there's also this need to have patience, and having patience with the results that you're expecting to see. I got a very strong feeling here that there is a need here for you to not change things too much right now. I don't think that some of you are seeing the full results yet of what you've been working toward, because I do feel like this is something that you've been putting effort into for a while now. But looking at the Hierophant, again, I don't think that now is the time to start changing things too much. Have a little bit of patience and wait, because there is no reason why you can't have this full-on financial stability. Now, for some of you, this could have to do with a situation with a person. And then looking at the Lovers as your best path to follow, I'm telling you, it's so important for Aquarius to keep love in their heart this week when it comes to not only people, but what you're doing. You need to have love for what you're doing. And I think that, you do. I just think that for some of you, you're questioning the results that you're seeing right now, but it's not done yet. Like, you're not quite done yet. There's more to see before you start deciding to change things. I just think that this week you need to stay with what works for you. Because if you change it too much, there may be a situation here where there's going to be possibly some financial strain. I'm not seeing this as a horrible thing. I just think that for some of you, you may be facing, some difficulties if you think that now is the time to start changing a bunch of things when really maybe it's not. Give it a little bit yet. But, on the other hand, too, when it comes to a person, especially with the Queen of Wands, now when you're looking at it, as far as what is going on with you internally and what you're doing externally, I think that you don't have any problems with managing the things that you're doing. Now, on the other hand, you may have somebody in your environment, and it's important to have love for them, because I think that for some of you, you do have a person that is trying to help you manage what you're doing. But I do think that patience is going to be the big thing, and love and patience, right? I mean, it came up here. Choose love and have patience, right? You always have a choice when it comes to the decisions that you make. But I do think that it's important for you to have patience. Now, again, love. It's like all over the place here. Having love for what you're doing, having love for people in your life, having love for yourself. It's going to be important, but I do think that a lot of you need to take the initiative here to speak your truth, especially when you're looking at trickery. And again, it goes both ways. For some of you, there may be, a need to lapse into behavior that maybe you shouldn't be, just because of the Lovers being your best path to follow. Now, that isn't the case for everybody. And again, it's not like there's any evil intention here. It's just that I think that for some of you, you're dealing with some personal struggles. And there's a need to get control over the opposing forces, right, with the Chariot. And it's important for you to take the initiative here to speak the truth. The truth that is your truth. You know, I don't think that there's a need here for you to see the truth in any situation involving a person. I just think that you need to be honest with yourself when it comes to the personal things that you're needing to get control of. But overall, Aquarius, I don't think that, first of all, that the Five of Pentacles is anything that's set in stone, right? If people are feeling pushed out, or if you're feeling left out, again, the Lover is the best path to follow, putting love first, right? Having love for these people and yourself. The Five of Pentacles, though, too, is, you know, it's one of those cards where you can get yourself out of these situations, right? Taking the initiative. But I think it has to do with more you being truthful with yourself. But I will say, though, that for some Aquarians, I think it's important here that you don't change things up too much just yet, because I don't think that you're seeing the full results. And I think they're going to be a lot better than what you're seeing right now.